Okay, hey, make Israel Syria again. In those Ottoman Empire days, Levant Jews got along fine with their neighbors, whether Muslim, Christian, or otherwise.
The Ottomans in 1492, when the Jews were expelled from Spain and Portugal, they got saved by the Ottomans. You know how we didn't accept Jews from Europe and sent them back to the camps in America, the good country?
Right.
Well, the Muslims saved a bunch of Jews in 1492. It rhymes, too. You can remember it that way, like the Columbus thing. In 1492, the Muslims saved a bunch of Jews.
Another hot tip from Kurt. Thank you, Kurt. Hey, please cover Nancy Pelosi getting embarrassed in the Oxford debate, where she argued that populism is bad for democracy. It was great. Thank you, TJ. Hello, JD, Steph, Kurt, Misha. He says, Misha Gunna. Any chance to interview Elon Pop, an Israeli historian who was recently detained at a U.S. airport by the FBI? Great recommendation, vegan. Much appreciated.
By the way, were you told in school that we're a republic and not a democracy? That's what I was told by my history teacher.
I was told by my civics teacher that. Yeah. And I guess they don't teach civics anymore.
Yeah, because we were never a democracy. We're a republic. We have elements of democracy, I guess. But like they always told us, no, you're a republic. That's why you have the people that vote for you, I guess. Yeah.
And, I think the big thing about that I remember that there are three branches of government. And that's what people don't seem to remember, that there's actually three branches of government.
Okay.
You can't take over as fascist king. All right, back to Jimmy.
It's called the balance of power, right? Isn't that what they call it?
Yes.
Refer to that as co-equal branches of government.
It works great for government, but not as far as world power. Then you need hegemony.
Yeah. So Bill Maher is, I guess, on a book tour. I guess he wrote a book. And
what is it?
So I don't know even, but he's going on right-wing media, and because he thinks he's going to be welcome because he's anti-woke and he's pro-Israel, but they keep bringing up stuff that it just shows how much he's ingested Like, I want to say, I don't personally, I might know some of his writers. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I haven't looked at the list of them. I used to know some of them.
I know some.
But can I just say this to Bill Maher's writers? You're doing him no favors. You're doing him no favors by keeping him a dumb fucking moron, because that's what he is. And he goes and gets humiliated. He was humiliated on Greg Gutfeld. He's humiliated on Megyn Kelly. You want to watch? So I'm just saying, you're not doing if I was Bill Maher, I would be pissed off. Wouldn't he come back to some of his producers and his writers and go, hey, how come nobody told me that Hillary Clinton has been denying the election for the last 4 years? Hey, how come nobody told me that cops weren't actually killed on January 6th? Hey, how come nobody told me any of this stuff? How come nobody told me that the Ukraine war didn't start with Putin's invasion? How come nobody told me about the Nakba? How come nobody told me anything?
Okay, wait.
You would
Jimmy,
think he would say that to his writers.
Why would you think that?
Because he's getting embarrassed.
He was going to go back to work during the strike with no writers. So why?
So maybe that's why. So like his writers don't give a shit if he looks like a moron. That's it, right?
Half of them think the same shit as him. Okay,
but the other half can't.
Well, you ever been in a writer's room? Do you understand how it works?
No.
You serve the master.
No, I've never been in a. I always wanted to have.
You've never been a joke butler, so you don't get it.
Yeah.
No. I served as a joke butler for many years, for many minor nobles.
Okay. Not me. Okay, so here he goes. Here's
downstairs. I went upstairs, downstairs.
Listen to this.
Hillary Clinton, of course, is the original election denier. I'm sure you voted for her in 2016.
Well, she's not an election denier.
She absolutely was the OG election denier.
First of all, she came out before the sun had risen to concede the election to Trump.
And then...
Okay, so first of all, when you say first of all, after that, you should have a legitimate point. But he doesn't. He doesn't.
Second of all.
Or even a second of all. So here, Bill Maher, though, has that special touch that he can make you agree with Megyn Kelly. Watch this. Here we go.
And the next 4 years saying he was illegitimate. He was an illegitimate president.
Okay, well, first of all, she didn't say he was an illegitimate.
Yes, she did.
Tell me exactly what she said.
She said those exact words repeatedly.
I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president.
Okay. I mean, she conceded the election. Whether you're interpreting her disappointment at losing it as the same thing as Trump not conceding it, I don't know that's where you're getting it from. But again, it's a tremendous false equivalency. You could ask Hillary Clinton right now who won that election. She will tell you. Donald Trump won the election.
Now she knows she has to because of what Trump has done.
She came out that night
she
in her
conceded the
dark
election.
purple suit and conceded the election.
Correct. And then spent the next 4 years trying to convince us it was not legitimate.
That's right. So, first of all, this just in, Bill Maher is a smug, warmongering whoremonger who literally knows nothing. In case you didn't know. So
That's
here's
Megyn Kelly's big story.
No, I've played this clip on the show many times. I'll play it again.
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee.
I like how she says that. You could run the best campaign. I mean, I didn't, obviously. I lost to Donald Trump. How good is that? Here's what she says.
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
So, but of course, that's in the past, right? And if anyone does not want to look at the past these days, it's Bill Maher. Bill Maher's been on the wrong side of things so often, it's like he was driving in London.
I'm calling him
Come
Bill.
on, Kurt. It's like he was driving in London.
I guess. I'm like Bill
Well, Kurt does not give it up if he doesn't like it.
Bill Mahor. I'm going to call it like M-U-H, whore.
So, I mean, Hillary thought that the candidate she directly orchestrated to run against her so she could win is illegitimate. You remember the Pied Piper strategy?
Yeah.
That was Hillary Clinton literally picked Donald Trump to run against, and they got their wish, and she lost to them. This is so.
They did the plot of The Producers, basically.
Yeah, they did.
It was a laugh hit.
Yes,
it was a comedy hit. Yeah.
So let's listen to it again.
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
You could have the election stolen from you by idiot voters.
Yeah. Well, she said our democracy, not yours.
Yeah.
We have a republic.
That's right.
That means the democracy is at her level.
You could fit all the love Hillary has for this country into a book and put it on the bargain shelf. Put it that way.
I mean, how about just humanity, her kids, her what? I mean, where do you think these lizard rumors come from? These absolutely silly lizard rumors, they don't come out of nowhere.
So here, I think Matt Orfila put this together, I think. Here's 10, I'm only going to play a little bit of it. Here's 10 minutes of not only Hillary Clinton, but Democrats and news media completely denouncing and denying the election was legitimate.
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
How can you win with Russian interference, though?
That's the real
what I'm
thing.
scared about in 2020.
But rightly.
Because I think he's an illegitimate president that didn't really win. So how do you fight against that in 2020?
You are absolutely right. He's an illegitimate president in my mind.
Would you be my vice presidential candidate? Folks, look, I absolutely agree.
Trump didn't actually win the election in 2016. He lost the election. And he was put into office because the Russians interfered.
Trump knows he's an illegitimate president.
The president-elect, although legally elected, is not legitimate.
I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president.
You said you believe that Russia's interference altered the outcome of the election.
I do. We have a president who, if in fact it is proven, has been assisted by the Russians and may in fact not be a legitimate president.
The one thing that Trump is fearful of when it comes to his being president is that finally we will see how illegitimate his victory actually was.
I have an objection.
I object to the 15 votes from the state of North Carolina. I object because people are horrified.
He's an illegitimate president.
Do you believe Trump is illegitimate president?
What I believe is that there's no question that the outcome of this election was affected by the Russian interference.
There absolutely is a cloud of illegitimacy.
So that legitimacy is in question, yes.
So that was a very tainted election. And in that sense, it's illegitimate.
Why do you think the president is going to such great lengths to essentially prove that he beat you?
Because he knows he didn't. He knows he's an illegitimate president.
Stolen emails, stolen drone, stolen election. Welcome to the world of unprecedented Trump.
So do you believe President Trump is an illegitimate president?
Based on what I just said, which I can't retract.
So, not one Democrat, not one elected Democrat had integrity. Not one. And Bill Maher lives in such a bubble, he didn't see any of this. He certainly doesn't watch this show. Because I played that over and over on this show.
Why would I watch this show, Jimmy? Please.
And
that's not really your thing. It's my thing.
And by the way, so the worst thing in the world you can do is deny an election. That's the new thing. Because Trump denies that.
Misunderstanding. They're not talking. So Bill Maher did the same thing Chelsea Clinton said on The View when they go, well, didn't they all say this over and over again? And it's all about, no, she conceded. By the way, she didn't concede right away. I thought she didn't come out. She was so upset. Before the sun came up, she said it. And Trump didn't concede before like he asked his lawyers to check if he basically did what Al Gore did. Okay.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to worry about the idiots that might do something. That's stochastic terrorism, not controlling the animals.
And so now everybody is memory holding when they all denied an election result.
But that's not denying it because they don't matter. Who matters is the leaders that day.
But yes.
And so that doesn't mean the same thing to him as it means to everybody else.
But now they're saying just to do that is bad. And here's Keith Olbermann. He did it in 2004. Listen to what Keith Olbermann said about 2004.
There is a small but blood-curdling group of reports of voting irregularities and possible fraud, principally in Ohio and Florida. And that group of reports is moving from that end of the spectrum, in which believers are also likely to be wearing hats made out of Reynolds wrap, other end of the spectrum in which the believers are going to the General Accounting Office and perhaps the FBI. Ohio has other problems tonight. The state reports 92,000 presidential votes did not count.
I think it's perfect. It looks great.
The mainstream newspaper, the Cincinnati Enquirer, reports that officials in Warren County, Ohio, locked down their administration building last Tuesday night to prevent anybody from observing the vote count. 69% of voters registered Democrats, 24% Republicans, yet President Bush got 7,738 votes and Senator Kerry just 2,180. In Holmes County, in the Panhandle, 7 Democrats for every 2 Republicans in the district. Bush beat Kerry 6,410 to 1,810. In Florida counties where optical scanning of paper ballots was not used, no such violent swings were reported. Counties with heavy Democratic registration voted Democratic. Counties with heavy Republican registration voted Republican. The 6 weeks since the election, somewhere around 20% of the nation's citizens have continued to doubt the election, and much of the other 80% have dismissed those doubts largely by saying, well, how come the Democrats aren't screaming about it? Or if there's a problem, where's the FBI? Or how come I haven't read about this in the New York Times? Our third story in the countdown today, the New York Times reported that the senior Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee was asking the FBI to investigate what he called inappropriate and likely illegal election tampering in Ohio. That affidavit by Cheryl Eaton, a Democrat, contends that last Friday, in advance of the recount in Ohio, an employee of the company that made the vote counting software used in their county returned there, and according to Conyers' letter to the FBI, he modified the computer tabulator, learned which precinct was planned to be the subject of the initial test recount, and made further alterations based on that information, and advised the election officials how to manipulate the machinery so that the preliminary hand recount matched the machine count.
So this isn't the first time that prominent people like Keith Olbermann, the guy with the biggest Trump, has said that the elections are illegitimate. This isn't the first time that there's been credible evidence that there's some shenanigans happening with the election. But all of a sudden, again, just as soon as Trump did it, that's when it became the biggest crime in history. Just like when Trump's MAGA supporters went and protested at the Capitol. That's the worst thing that ever happened. Black Lives Matter. I saw Cornel West give a speech yesterday where he said, imagine if those were black people at the Capitol, what would have happened? Nothing. Because I don't know if you saw what happened to Black Lives Matter protesters. Black Lives Matter protesters, I don't think anybody got prosecuted.
They weren't welcome inside, I believe.
Right. They burned down police stations in Atlanta. Nothing, as far as I can tell, nothing happened to anybody. But people who were just peacefully protesting on January 6th, they're being thrown in jail for 10 and 20 years. People who weren't even there are being thrown in jail for 10 and 20 years. So again, Bill Maher, Cornel West, they all live in the same bubble. It's an ivory tower. It's a millionaire's bubble, and they never get introduced to the facts. So Bill Maher, again, humiliating himself over and over. Was Bill Burr on it when he said, who the hell are you? He goes, this is my lane. I know this. Bill Maher doesn't know shit about current events or politics.
The servants
He knows nothing.
They read me the news.
The servants read me the New York Times. People who think they know current events or politics or what's happening in the world because they read the New York Times, the Washington Post, or they watch CNN, Fox, or MSNBC are the most uninformed, propagandized, dumb motherfuckers in the world.
Okay, you know why? Because
because they think it's real what they're reading.
In the video you played it. They did. It's hypnosis. You say the thing 3 times. He's an illegitimate president. Illegitimate president. Russian interference.
I hear it everywhere.
President.
I hear it everywhere.
So even back then in 2004, which was a stupid time to be alive. Okay.
Yeah.
It even sounds less like pure neurolinguistic programming back then when it was also that. But now they have turned the stupid meter on it where we're just going all hypnotic. So the illegitimate president, there's a cloud of illegitimacy. They all repeat the same line.
And the new one today is that there's no equivalence between Hamas and Israel. They're all saying the same script.
I believe America's a force for good in the world. There's no equivalence.
Yes.
Everybody repeats slogans at you.
All right, over to Steph.
Okay.
If I were Rabbi Shmuley and diddle-diddle-diddle-diddle-diddle-dum, all day long I'd diddle little bums. If I were a Shmuley man, I'd peddle all my dildos, dreidel dildos, selling dildos with my daughter and her mum. If I were a Jewish Shmuley man, I'd be digging with a dildo in my bum. I'd wear a grotesque nose and go grab some goyim right on the nipple with a pinch. A Shabbos lap dance brace for the youngest mensch.
At this time, more than any other time, revolution is necessary. It is necessary. Not only based on what has happened with the MOVE organization, the babies that have been murdered, MOVE adults that have been murdered, bombs being dropped on us, but past that to what is happening with all black people, so-called minority people, money poor people. This government, as has been said earlier, has waged war on us. But something about us, particularly here in America, we don't really understand that. We don't really know what war is. For black people, for poor people, that people see as good, that they wasn't forced to do, that they didn't do to try to keep black people appeased, and calm down so that black people wouldn't riot. A prison situation is a crystallized example of that. You can make phone calls in prison. They have movies in prison, but they don't have those things because they just want to be nice to prisoners. They have those things because they know damn well if they don't have You know, people being able to contact their family. If they don't have, facilities for people to sit there and watch movies, people are going to be frustrated, upset, and they're going to direct that frustration at them prison administrators. And they're going to have riots on their hands. You know, they're going to have people in them prisons turning them prisons out. That's why they have movies. That's why they have access to phones the way they do. And a stop to it when we don't like it, or encouraging it when it's something that's in our interest. You know, we have to call the shots. The people have to take the reins of this system and start dictating, what we need, what needs to be done. And, taking the initiative to do it ourselves. We can't rely on this system. I mean, don't people see what's happening? Every single confrontation that MOVE people have been involved in, every single issue, oppression, economic issues, every single issue facing our people, is something that can be dealt with very, very simply. All people got to do is make their wishes known. All people have to do is stand up and say, listen, we're not accepting that. Unity is the key. Unity is the key to revolution. Revolution ain't nothing to be afraid of. It ain't nothing to shy away from. Revolution, contrary to what officials, this system and those backing the officials running the system, want people to believe that revolution means violence, means blood in the street. I'm saying it can get to that point, but it don't have to be violent. When people come together and take a strong stand on an issue, this government don't have no choice but to listen. Where you think they get their authority from? They don't have no power, but they do have authority to do certain things. Where you think they get it from? They get it from us, from the people. They get it from us accepting the things that they do to be done to stop it. Then you have some people who want to then turn around and say, yeah, well, it's the best we have, and want to make excuses. The time for excuses is over. It's over. Every man, woman, and child has to be involved in this revolution. Not only has to be, but is, whether you want to be or not. I mean, our babies gave their lives for this revolution on May 13th. Men, women, and children were murdered. And not just MOVE babies. What about all of the young men, women, children 8, 9 years old shot down on the street by cops, by drug pushers? I mean, where do you think that mentality comes from? It comes from this system, from the mentality of this system of getting over, making a quick buck, I'm saying that's where that needs to be done to stop it. Then, what I want people to really, really understand is that it's past time. It is past time for poor people, black people, to realize that this system has failed you. It has failed you. You can't get nothing from it. And what people got to do is withdraw our support from it and start doing for ourselves. That's what we got to do. How long are people going to sit back and beg, this government to do what's right when for hundreds of years, all you've gotten is a slap in the face. All you've gotten is this government kicking your ass. That's all. That's all black people have ever gotten from this government.
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletter. Just visit